Let's be real. There's some Major League Baseball teams that just do not deal with any pressure whatsoever, either tangible or abstract. For example, the Brewers are like that child that receives such a large inheritance that it just makes it impossible for that child to lose it all. I mean, they've won 4 of the last 5 divisions, including winning 92 or more games in all 4 of them as, let's face it, a small market team. They had their general manager poached by the Mets, a large market squad. Their manager poached by the Cubs, another large market franchise. Is there really anything the Brewers could do or not do over the next decade that fans could really, truly be upset about? No, not really. They're just on a free roll, just like that child who's somewhat upon money. Now, before I get into the teams facing the most pressure in 2026, I want to thank the 21 humans that are on board with me, and also give a shout out to the top commenter from last video. What's up, KRS? Appreciate the love. Let's get to the obvious one out of the way first, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Stop laughing, hear me out. The Pirates actually have a tremendous fan base when they're good, a la the wildcard game, where they single-handedly made one of the best pitchers in the sport at that time in Johnny Cueto just straight dropped the baseball.
Well, the standing room only crowd trying to get under Johnny Cueto's skin, and they might be.
But the operative phrase was when they were good. And that's what elicits the pressure. It's a ghost town now, because of how decrepit they are. Secondly, the Paul Skeens free agency timer is just ticking. I mean, hell, there were already trade rumors last season, and it was only his second year in the black and gold. Could you imagine if they suck again this season, and now we're staring at Paul heading into his arbitration year, and they're gonna start having to pay him dollars commensurate with his performance? You know, like millions of dollars, not $500K, as they would prefer to pay him. There's an immense amount of pressure on the Pirates to make the playoffs this season, to not only keep Skeens happy, but actually win with him, the best pitcher in the game, and possibly the best player in franchise history. Now, I have teams in the title, and I said teams on the outset of this video, but for this nomination, I think it'd be a disservice to call it the entire franchise when there's really only one individual within that organization, within that franchise, that has pressure, and that's David Stearns, the general manager of the Mets. Listen, I've talked about before how I actually would trust Stearns if I was a Met fan. But two things can be true. That doesn't mean he isn't under pressure, because he just tore down a core that was together for a half decade. And in the case of Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso, they were together for their entire careers. They've only known one franchise, New York, and they're absolutely beloved. You better have a damn good plan to mitigate the uneasiness and the borderline tears that you've given the Met fan by letting go of beloved players. Not to mention, you're still obviously in New York, a place where you have the richest owner in the game, who said upon obtaining the franchise that there would be a championship in his first 3 to 5 years in charge. You still have the second highest payroll in the game, including having Juan Soto, who you just signed to an 86-year, $948 billion contract last offseason. If you're going to do it your way, and I respect that, but if you are in a place like New York where you have yet to win, you bet your ass you got pressure on you. The Baltimore Orioles were supposed to rattle off a half-decade of playoff success after their 2023 campaign, where they finished 101 games having more runs than the other team, while having perceived budding stars in shortstop Gunnar Henderson and catcher Adley Rutschman under contract for years to come. Yet just 2 years later, much has changed, including said both players having down years in 25, while their best player according to WAR was Trevor Rogers, something they probably did not want or anticipate. This resulted in the firing of their manager Brandon Hyde midway through last season. In this offseason, they decided to keep going for it by signing Pete Alonso and signing Ryan Helsley. Not relenting on the bad year and continuing to go for it portends tremendous pressure, especially in a division with the Boston Red Sox, the New York Yankees, and of course the reigning American League champions, Toronto Blue Jays. The New York Yankees haven't won the World Series since 2009, and like the Mets obviously, they play in New York, so there's always pressure, but that's an easy answer as this team probably crossed your mind as soon as you saw the title, so let me narrow it down. The Yankees have pressure because we are at the tail end of Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole's prime. There's absolutely no guarantee for the rest of our lives that despite how much money they have and how run they are, that they will simultaneously have two talents as such on the roster, and a squander capitalizing on that and bringing a trophy back home to New York would be absolutely devastating. We have no idea how much longer both have at the top of their game, so take advantage now. Reminiscent of the logic I had pertaining to the Pirates would be the Detroit Tigers. I don't think they'll trade Tarik Skubal, and I actually think it's smart, even if they don't sign him back, which I don't think anybody believes that they will. Damn it, because sometimes making the prudent decision doesn't supersede the human decision. Tarik Skubal is a future Hall of Famer. He's already a legend in Detroit, and to trade him to receive just assets so they don't lose him for nothing when they're in the thick of competing for not only the division, but for the World Series would be just straight foolish in my opinion. Just keep him and go compete. You'll probably never have a pitcher as good as he is for decades. With that said, there's pressure on Detroit to win something of significance, in which will probably be the last season having Tarik Skubal on the roster.
Help me polarize, help me polarize, help me down.
If you like this video, consider commenting, liking, sharing with a friend, and subscribing.